because it'll help somebody else?
Because it'll help somebody.
Yeah, like what's a subject that you kind of shy away from covering or talking about at any point in time that you're like, I wish someone would just talk about this so maybe I could feel better about it now or my past self or my future self?
That's so interesting because it's something I think about a lot being an older sister.
Mm-hmm.
I think that something recently that has been, I guess that has been harder for me to talk about
Mm-hmm.
with people would be like having a toxic amount of vulnerability, which is weird.
Okay.
Like, but the way that you manifest your vulnerability with people that are close to you. And it's sort of being like, hey, are you vulnerable in a way where other people can be vulnerable around you? Are you vulnerable in a way where it's a healthy vulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
where you aren't using the people around you for as crutches, essentially?
Right.
And like, I think it's fine to sort of like lean on the people that are around you, but to the point where it does become unhealthy or it manifests in other ways where you maybe start yelling or you start like, you can't have healthy conversations anymore. Again, it's hard for them to come to you about things, but you're constantly going to them. I think that that's something that to an extent I've seen, like, especially a lot of young people like myself do. That's something I see happen a lot, and that I feel like it's hard for people to talk about when they're younger because nobody has an idea of, everybody's still trying to figure out, oh, this is what I like, this is what I don't like.
Right.
So I think like finding healthy ways to have relationships with people, specifically through being vulnerable. That's been something that's been hard for me to like talk to people about.
Do you feel like you're a vulnerable person?
Yes, but no. It depends. I've had people tell me that I'm not as vulnerable as they want me to be.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I feel like I'm very vulnerable because I'm the type of person, if you ask me a question about myself, even if maybe I don't want to answer, again, like the big sister in me that's always like, somebody needs help, somebody wants like an answer to this question and doesn't want to find out the hard way. I'm always willing and open about talking about stuff with people. So I guess to me, yes, but again, to the people that are close to me, they're like, oh,
Do you think that you have a wall up in a way, or that you're trying to keep yourself safe by not getting too vulnerable, or do you feel like you're genuinely like trying to be as vulnerable as you can and other people are like, no, open up more?
Maybe it's a combination of both. I'm sure that, again, it's like a perception versus reality thing. I mean, because I can think I'm as vulnerable as I want to be, but if the people that are around me are like, maybe sure, like, then maybe I'm not. Which, again, something I could work on, something I could get together. But I feel like at the very least I try to be as open and honest. I'm, again, the type of person where I've told people, hey, if you ever feel like there's something you don't know about me, ask.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Sure.
You might not like my delivery, but I'll let you know. I really will.
When's the last time you cried?
When was the last time? I know it was within this past week. I think it was last Tuesday. I'm sure it was either last Monday or Tuesday. That's the definitive date that I remember I last cried at. I'm sure I cried after that.
Do you remember why?
Yeah, me and my boyfriend broke up, so that was cute. But yeah. I cried a bit, but it's okay.
For sure. Okay. I know that the reason I incorporated that question is because I have a lot of friends who aren't really criers, and I cry at like everything.
You
including like movies.
Oh.
Like even little like if a dog is too cute, I'm like tearing up. Like it's an issue. Like dry your face a lot.
Oh.
So I'm interested to know where people fall on the cry spectrum of like,
I don't usually.
are they? And a lot of people don't because like we're adults, right? But then like other people, like all of my emotions always show on my face. I'm very like.
I'm still very.
Yeah, like I'm just very. I say exactly what I feel. There is no thinking time in between. And like if I'm feeling like too happy or too sad or too upset,
You're gonna know.
And I'm probably gonna cry. I don't cry in front of people, but I just am about to start asking everyone that. So it'll be interesting seeing what people say.
Yeah. I mean, again, like I don't feel like I'm usually the type of person to cry. It takes a lot for me to start crying, at least at this point. But
yeah, and I mean, what happened was, I mean, that's pretty serious. That's not like, something small.
It's okay. Yeah, tomorrow's is okay.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen?
Ever seen?
And if you haven't seen anything super crazy, what's like the craziest situation you've been in?
Oh my god, wait. Let me think. Sadly. Ugh. Let's see. That I've ever seen? There's like a... There's a... I feel like... It's... Yeah. This is so hard because like I've lived here for so long that I feel like there's so much stuff that I've seen. I'm just like
desensitized.
It's not even desensitized to it, like because it even now as an adult, things that I've seen here they still hit, and it's because I understand the impact that it has on kids growing up here. Because I was there once, I understand like how that affects them or will. Some of the craziest things I've seen, I feel like it'd be a culmination of things I experienced when I was going to city schools here, like public city schools here. And I mean and it wasn't like a one instance. It was like cumulatively, because the more I talked to other people about some of the stuff that were either like done to kids or how they were lied to, how kids were treated in schools, I think that the more that I think about that or talk to other people about that as an adult, the more that I realize, oh, this actually isn't normal. Oh, this was wild. Like this is wild and not okay. Some of the craziest things I've seen at like when I was in public city schools here though would be like the ice rinks in your classrooms, because like nobody left the heat on over the weekend, so your science lab would get flooded with water and freeze over, so you couldn't go to science class for longer than a day. Saying your breath inside of the school building because again the heat's not on, and you call North Avenue and they tell you that the school still has to stay open, so the kids still have to stay there. And weather where you can see your breath inside of the building and there's no heat. There were kindergartners in my building at that. Like, let me see. Some of the ways that teachers would treat kids alone, like seeing kids literally, like hearing the things that are crushing them / deterring them from being the best thing that they're supposed to be. Hearing teachers tell kids that they're worthless because of their grades or their inability to sit still in class. It's not, again, like I don't think it's every teacher, I don't think it's every school. I think that every school has its own individual issues here, and they usually all stem from like understaffing, underfunding.
And we're in Baltimore for everybody watching.
Yeah, we're here. I think it stems from like a plethora of places here. So it's not, again, the schools that I went to had their own individual issues.
Yeah.
But they aren't issues that are, I feel like if you went to public school here specifically, like some of the stuff I went through it's not even the worst that you could go through.
Yeah.
Here. So I think that going to public city schools here was like the wildest experience, like cumulatively.
Yeah.
The wildest experience I've ever had. But yeah, I wouldn't trade it.
Oh no. No. It's a part of you.
Exactly, at this point at least.
Right.